Okay, awesome. So I just want to have you start out. I'm gonna let you tell your story eventually, but I need to know more about collagen than anything else.
Okay.
So I know that you tested it. So tell us about the flavor. Tell us
Yeah.
about everything.
Okay. So you know how some drinks like it's like a diet drink and you can tell that it's like you can tell that it's like sugar, but it's like the diet kind. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like you can just
Yeah.
tell like a diet soda, it just tastes different. That's what it tastes like. It's like a diet fruit punch. It tastes good. Um, it's like sweet, but like that diet sweet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And oh, someone said,
I
I,
can hear you.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
yes.
Um, and then it's just so good. Like honestly, I'm really weird with taste. Like I don't know. Like it took me a while to
Did you
like a
put
lot
it
of
in
our.
water?
Yeah, I just put it in like cold water. So I just take a water bottle and I like put it in a cup. Like if I'm home or
Like
if I'm on the
greens or
go, I'll put
something?
it in my water bottle. And I just drink it. And it tastes so good. And what has helped me, like I wrote in the comments, like I literally, like my skin has always been like clear like this, always. Like I never went through like puberty acne, like anything like that. And all of a sudden, like the past 6 months, like I've been breaking out a lot on my forehead and like on my chin. And I'm like, what's going on? And ever since I started taking the collagen, it honestly has like cleared up my skin. Like I like don't go get facials or anything like that. Like just because my skin has always been good, but I went for a facial for the first time, and after I started taking it, like I literally like thought I was gonna have to go back and get facials like every month because they told me to come back every month. But ever since I've been taking it, it's been so good with my skin. And I know we're not supposed to make claims, but it honestly has helped my migraines so much. Like I have migraines almost every single day. Like I wake up with a migraine. Like that's just how it is for me. And honestly, it's decreased my migraines like immensely. And now that like I actually ran out of my collagen last night, and because I gave some away to like my mom, my sister, and now like I'm like I have to get like a ton of orders in for it. But like I love it. It's just so good. I love the taste because like I said, I'm weird with taste, so I love that. And just I feel like good. Like I mean, I'm young, but like I get like achy sometimes. I don't know why. Like either I sleep weird, like my neck hurts, and like honestly, I've just been feeling good every day. I love it. And I know that like you guys will feel the same because like I actually felt like a change in my body, like taking it consistently. But I didn't have a full 30 days because I gave a lot. Like I gave away to my team at Green Carpet, my mom, my sister. But I think I had like about 12 packets. So I was consistent with it for 12 days and it was like a game changer.
Dang. I always tell people, like on greens, when people ask me like, how do you feel, like how are greens help? And I'd be like, I can't really explain it because you don't really know how bad you're feeling until you start feeling good, you
Yes.
know? And it's probably a similar thing with this, but just
Yeah,
more.
like my migraines, like I've just become immune to it. Like now it's just like I don't take medicine for it just because nothing helps me. But I
You
just
have no idea why you have migraines.
no, I went for blood work, everything. Nothing came up. And my sister has the same thing. She went for like deeper testing, like MRIs and CAT scans and things like that. Nothing came up, but like I like just deal with them every day. But you're right. Like once I started taking the collagen, I was like, wow, like I feel good. Like it feels good not to like have a headache. But I think it probably has a lot to do with me being on my phone, like literally 24/7 and stuff. But
Yeah, for
you
sure.
gotta do what you gotta do.
I know. I'm so freaking excited to try it. I can't wait. So thanks for giving us that review. Like I actually had a sip when I was at I went to Chicago for the leadership summit. And I had a sip of Genevieve's, I think. And it was good. That's what it tastes like. It did taste like a muted down fruit punch. Like it wasn't so sweet. Like because I really probably wouldn't drink it if it was so sweet like that. Like I probably couldn't drink it if it was so
Yeah,
sweet.
it tastes like a diet drink, like that. Like you can tell that it's like a sweet, but it's not like.
And it dissolves like easy.
Yeah, you literally like I do it with the frother just because I froth everything, but I literally put it in water and just put my frother in there, and it was good to go.
Yeah, I froth everything. Now that you have keto coffee, froth everything. I know. I didn't even know what a frother was before keto coffee.
Neither did I. I'm like, now I froth everything, like
Now
literally.
we're like with the frothers. Like, nope, sorry, gotta froth.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so awesome. So now that we know that about collagen, tell everybody just about your story. I don't know. I know we have like a really good mix on our team. So we have people like all age ranges. We are like really starting to get a bigger younger team. So we have teams on here that really only have like 24 and under on their team. So kind of just share your story about where you're like kind of where you came from, and then I'll ask you a couple more questions.
Okay, awesome. So I joined this business a little over 3 years ago. My best friend Cassie, who enrolled me, she joined the business after buying defining gel from her upline and literally like canceled her order and joined. So me and Cassie like do everything together. So she's like, why don't you just do this with me? Like, you're broke anyways. Like, there's this $1,000 bonus going on. Like, we can do this together. And like, I was like, okay. Like, I literally had no idea about the business, like what I was getting into, what I was going to be doing. I tell people all the time, if this was like a scam, like I would have gotten scammed, because I literally didn't look into it. I put my social online. I was like, let's just do this. Like, I want this $1,000 bonus. So I joined and I went Ruby in 30 days. So I was like so laser focused with this $1,000 bonus. Like, that's all I wanted. I was working 2 jobs. I was working as a receptionist at a salon with Cassie. And then after my receptionist job, I was going into a waitressing job at night. And then when I wasn't doing those 2 things, I was at school Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays all day. So then I was working the days that I was off of school and working weekends because of the salon and the restaurant, being open. So I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I literally couldn't afford anything. Like, I remember, fighting with like Cassie and her sister about like who's driving because we didn't have gas money. Like, it was just like, the typical broke college student. Like, that's how we were. And I joined and, I was like, I'm on my phone 24/7 anyways. Like, might as well do something productive with that time. So I went Ruby in 30 days and I got that $1,000 bonus. So for me, like, I didn't catch the vision like in the beginning. Like, even though I promoted so fast, like, I didn't like really see this being something that I was gonna do or be successful at, even though I was already successful at it, and thankfully, like, Cassie was so like into it, like, she was so like, she literally caught the vision from day one. So I feel like that helped me so much, because when I would be negative, she would just like pump me up and like, remind me of like what is good in this business and like where we're going to go. So, I think that's what really kept me going, is just like having that like pump up every single day. And we were just doing this together. So, if you have friends or family that you would love to work this business with, don't hesitate on asking them to, because it's so much better when you work together. So then I went Emerald in my 2nd month. And then I went Diamond my 3rd month. So I got that $10,000 bonus. Like, that for me was when it clicked, because I was like, oh my God. So I went Ruby in 30 days. And then all I had to do was help 3 people do what I did in 30 days and go Diamond. And like, that's what I did. And I was like, this is so simple. That's when it clicked that what I had been doing since day one is what I had to do every single day to be consistent and be successful in this business. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is more money than I've ever seen before, because I was getting paid so little at my jobs. And, waitressing, it was like a hit or miss. It was either one night was so good or one night wasn't. And I would walk away with no tips, and the hourly pay is like really crappy. So, that's when it clicked for me. So I quit both of those jobs, and I've been doing this full time since July of 2015. And I was living at home at the time. So, I wasn't like homeless. Like, I was a broke college student, but my parents like always supplied everything for my sister and I, everything we needed, but things that I wanted, I wasn't able to do before this business, like my nails. Like, I could barely pay my car payment. Like, I literally had to save everything I had to pay my car payment. I remember Cassie asking me to go out to eat, and I was like, I'll eat at home, but I'll come with you to dinner and just watch you eat. It was literally like that. So 3 months in, I promoted to Diamond, and then I sat at Diamond for about 5 months, and then conference came around of 2016. That was my first event ever as a distributor. And I was literally so excited because all I heard people saying was get to conference. It's going to change your business. And like, I didn't know what to expect out of it, but I knew that I had to go. And, you know, I went to conference and it literally changed my life. Honestly, conference of 2016 was like the best one. Like it literally, I don't know if it was because it was my first event, but just hearing like the people I looked up to, like the people who I creeped on social media every single day, seeing them in person, either like, even though it was like far away, like I saw them in person, I got to hear their stories. And I was like, wow, like this is real. You know, these people that I see on social media, like they go through struggles, you know, they go through life and they're here on stage sharing it with us today. So I went to conference and I left and I went double diamond that month and I got the $25,000 double bonus. And then the month after I went triple and got the $50,000 bonus. And then fast forward a year later, conference of 2017, I went presidential and got the $100,000 bonus. So every conference I've been promoting. So, you know, I've earned $196,000 in bonuses, you know, and it's literally changed everything for me. Like I'm only 23 years old and, you know, me and Craig live in this apartment. We moved out on our own. It's a little over a year now. We were able to literally just move out of our parents' house and, you know, buy everything in cash. And you don't think about the little things you have to buy when you move on your own because you're living with your parents. Like, you know, little things like utensils, like toilet paper, paper towels, you know, like that adds up. And for us, you know, to be able to just go out to the store and get those things whenever we want. We bought all of our furniture in cash. We didn't like have to put anything on credit cards or finance anything. I paid off $47,000 in student loans in 10 months, and I was on a 15-year payment plan. What else? I pay my mom's mortgage every single month. She got divorced a year ago. So, you know, being on her own was like really tough and she was like scared of what to come and her paying her own bills and stuff because my dad always paid for everything. So I am able to just pay her mortgage every single month so she doesn't have to worry about that, you know, and can just pay for the other little bills she has and be able to save too. Craig and I are building our dream home and we will be moving in January of this year and next year. And it's so crazy because we literally just moved out of our house a year and a half ago. And now we're just building a dream home that, you know, we get to pay for and not have to worry about anything. It's just crazy because, you know, I'm only 23 years old and 3 years ago, like I was not thinking about buying a home or moving out. You know, I was just living that broke college student life. So it's so crazy.
It's literally it's so awesome about your mom. It's so awesome about your dream home. I mean, all that stuff. And I love what you said just about like, you know, getting people that you want to work with like around you, because I do know that, you know, it's so easy, like everything that happens, you know, in public, right? Like we get celebrated for like all of our promotions and we get celebrated for all the debt we paid off and all the house that we do, but people don't see all the hard work that goes behind the scenes of it, right? And it sounds, all the stuff that you're saying, like it's so awesome and congratulations to you on all of it. But I just want everybody on here to know that this did not come without the sacrifice of working and time. And, you know, I mean, and it's, to some, it depends on who you are, but it's a small price to pay to change everything, right? To not be able to have to worry about certain things and just having the security of knowing that, you know, you are in control of your own destiny. And so, you know, I guess like, how did your mindset adjust? Because, you know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know when I was in college, I didn't even know what a work ethic was. Like I knew because I like played sports, like I played sports. So I knew a little bit from that and I was a college athlete, but like I didn't really understand like the work part. And so how do you feel like you adjusted to that? Like, was it a gradual thing? Was it just like you saw the money and you were like, I don't care how hard I have to work? Like kind of what was it for you and how did that transformation happen to be like, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make this happen?
Okay, so for me, like before this business, I was like super like negative Nancy. Like I would just like complain about everything. Like we would go out somewhere if I knew where we were going and I didn't like that place, I would be like, oh, this night's gonna be so crappy because we're going there. You know, so it was hard for me because I didn't take no like good. Like when I would get a no, I would get so negative and like, you know, like I said, thankful for Cassie because she was so like positive and into the business and like, you know, so like she caught the vision right away. So for me, that was like awesome because I was able to, every time I would be negative, instead of her being negative with me, she would just pump me up and like she would just give me tough love and just right away like tell me to listen to The Secret. So she told me to listen to The Secret like right away. And like I lied to her and I didn't listen to it because I couldn't get into it and it was like so like awful and boring. And I didn't get the law of attraction. Like I didn't understand it because honestly, before this business, no one teaches us like be positive, like say positive things because that's what you'll get, you know. None of that was taught in school, you know, like so me listening to that, I was like, oh, I can't get into this. And she would always tell me too, like, say these things out loud, like say what you want out loud. And I'd be like, this girl's like crazy. Like, what is she like trying to tell me to do? Like, I thought she was like getting into like some crazy things. I was like, what is she trying to get me to do? So it took me so long to get into it. And then when I did, I was like, you know what? Like, she was so positive all the time and so like excited about the business. I was like, I want to feel the same way, you know, even though I was successful in the beginning so fast, but I was still like, you know, I didn't understand that like, you know, being consistent was going to get me where I needed to be. I'm going to get no's every day, you know, and I still do like on a daily basis. Like I get so many no's and like I started listening to The Secret and then I got more into like listening to audiobooks and, you know, listening to things on YouTube because I was like, you know, I'm not going to like, I know I'm going to get no's even when I'm doing self-development and being positive because that's just part of the business, but I don't want to feel like how I feel right now. You know, I don't want to like get no's and feel crappy. Like I want to get no's and still push through it, you know? So I knew I had to make like a change and that was self-development and being positive, you know, and obviously like I still have my days, you know, like probably every day, like I get mad at something, you know, but I know how to snap out of it. That's the thing is like before I would just like sit in misery and I would just be upset and complain. But now like I'll probably like complain for like 2 minutes or get upset about something, but then I'll turn on my self-development and I'll just feel good, or I'll turn on my worship music and I'll feel good. Or, you know, I'll read a book or I'll listen to an audiobook and I'll just feel good. Like I know how to get myself out of it and I don't stay in that state anymore like I used to, you know, and it's just something you have to kind of like learn because like I said, I didn't learn any of this stuff in school and none of this was part of my life before it worked. So I kind of had to just slowly learn to listen to it and learn to kind of grasp what I was listening to because that was hard for me too. Like to understand what was being said in the books, you know, and with The Secret and all that stuff and just practice what I was listening to every single day. So that for me was like a big thing is because the thing is like I was being successful in the beginning and making money, but I was like, I just don't like feel good about the business. Like I feel like I would wake up so excited and then I would get a no and I would be like in a bad mood, you know? And like, I was like, I don't want to feel like this. I want to be excited and happy, but I'll still get no's, but I'll know how to get myself out of that if it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's important too. Like one of the things that I like about your story is that you did have Cassie and like that you guys weren't necessarily like misery loves company. And so it would be very easy to just be like, oh yeah, I got a no today too. And like, this sucks. Like, you know, kind of just like have that negativity in common. Because it's so easy. Everybody has negativity in their life. And that's why I think negative, like misery loves company is because we can always relate to something negative somebody has to say. We can't always relate to something positive. So that's so much easier to click on. But how do you think, and I'm sure you've learned from her how to do this with your own team as well. Like when you have somebody new come in who has the same problem as you, right? Like not to like almost same thing when you're talking to people about Jesus, like not to shove it down their throat and be like self-development, shove it down your throat, like not Jesus, shove it down your throat, but like how do you kind of ease them into it and also give them grace? So like how do you introduce like, hey, let's start doing this? Like, is there a certain book you recommend? Is there a certain way you do things together?
So I usually just send them a voice message when they're feeling down. Like I just put it into perspective for them, you know, and I'm like newbies, you know, who come to me and they're like on day 2 and they're like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And I always tell them like, what do you mean you don't think you can do this. It's only day 2. And this is, I always say, like, this is a business. Like, you have to be consistent. And you're going to get no's. I always tell them that you're going to get no's, but you have, and usually they're not doing something. They're either not being consistent with posting, following, messaging, or following up with people. So I try to work with them. I'm like, okay, right now let's send 10 messages. And it works like every time. I'm like, let's send 10 messages right now. They get responses. I help them with the conversation and they suddenly enroll. And I'm like, girl, like, this is how easy it is. Like, I feel like sometimes I have to just like babysit them to the point that I have to just literally show them, like, let's send 10 messages right now. Let's post right now. Let's get interaction with your post. Like, let's post like a now hiring post where people can comment and then you can message them, you know, and get interaction with like that. Or let's send a message to your family and friends. Like, let's make the list right now. You know, so I don't like shove self-development down like their throat right away, because I'm like, let's do this first. You know, like I said, most of the time they're not doing something that is income producing to get them the results that they want. And that's why they feel like that. But it's just being there and guiding them, you know, and I never yell at my team. Like, I just tell them, you know, like, I felt like you did too, but the thing is like, this isn't going to grow overnight. It's going to grow over time, and you being consistent doing these things every single day. And I just love when I help them with messages and they finally enroll. I'm like, look, like, that's how easy it is. And like, if you do this every day, multiple times a day, and just follow my lead and exactly what I tell you to say to people, and if I'm enrolling, you're going to enroll too, but you just have to put in the work, because that's what I do. You know, I'm like, they don't just come to me and I'm just like, on my eSuite and I have customers, you know, I work for them, and that's what you have to do too. So I usually just work with them like that first, and then I will, you know, tell them to listen to The Secret. I usually send them like, I love Les Brown. Like, if they don't want to buy audiobooks, I don't want to have to make them buy things right away, but Les Brown, it's called Positive Mindset on YouTube. It's so good because it makes you like say things out loud, and he like says stuff and then you have to like repeat it. And it's just so good. Like, those kinds of things I think is so important, because, you know, if I did that in the beginning, I would have just felt so good, like repeating really positive things. So I usually just send them like YouTube links to listen to, and they do while they're like working or doing homework or like driving. I'm like, do this while you're like driving. Instead of listening to music in the car, just listen to your self-development, you know, like, or while you're showering, listen to self-development, or while you're getting ready in the morning, do that, you know, just so you're not like, so you can actually take it in and not be like working your business and not being able to like pay attention to it. So that's what I do for them. And, you know, then I will send them like a screenshot of the audiobooks that I like to listen to too.
Love it. What are you reading right now or listening to right now?
I re-listen to things over and over again just because I really like the books that I have. So, I mean, I have like the basic ones that I feel like everyone listens to. So I like Grant Cardone. So I listen to him a lot. He's more like sales, kind of like teaching you like how to like approach things. So I like the 10X rule. I like Be Obsessed or Be Average. I like the Secrets of a Millionaire Mind.
So
High Performance Habits. I love the You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money. I re-listen to those over and over again. I like the 5-second rule. And I just listened to, what else was I listening to the other day?
Secrets of a Millionaire Mind changed my life.
Secrets of a Millionaire. I love that. Like, that book I listened to over and over and over again, and I feel like it just gets better every time.
Literally, it's right here. Literally, this this book has changed my life. Like, I was reading snippets today and I was like, I need to reread this. Like, yeah. I need to reread this like 7 more times. I love it so much. I don't read, I just listen. So, you know, whatever you like to do, just like start doing it, because like I said, when I started to do it, it changed everything for me. You know, like I said, I'm not perfect. You know, I still have thoughts that creep in, and, you know, days that I feel down, but like, I just know how to get myself out of that. And before I would just kind of just stay there. Yeah. And so how, like, do you do self-development as needed? Do you have a routine? Like, what does your normal day look like? Yeah. So I wake up in the morning, and I have a devotional that I read it's like a daily devotional. So I read it every single morning.
I pray every morning when I wake up, and then like I'll just start my day and like I'll post, I'll follow. Well, no, I follow at night with night mode on Captivate. I'll message throughout the day. I'll at least 100 people a day I message. And I have 2 accounts, so I get a lot out with those 2 accounts. I'll post like twice throughout the day, and I'll literally blow up my story. Like, you follow me, so you see my stories. Like, my story, like, I blow it up every single day with like product reviews.
I steal like at least half of your stories.
It's fine. I steal Cassie's. Like, all those stories come from like Cassie or people on our team. But I post a lot of like product reviews on there, and then I post my story on there, like the one you replied to last week. Just because I love, like, I post every day. I don't go a day without posting, but stories, like, people see more, you know, like I'll get like 900 views or like, no, not even, like I have a lot of followers, so I get more than that, but like I will get like 200 likes on my picture, you know, so people will see more of my stories. So I'm always posting so much on my stories. Like, I get so many replies on my stories, and like that's how I've been enrolling so much lately. Like, I'll message a lot, but I get more replies from my story. It's crazy.
And how do you feel like when you do night mode, like on Captivate, how, like, before you were doing that and you were like manually doing it, did you have like a method that worked really well for you? Like, did you go to one specific boutique, or did you do like location settings, or how did you kind of, what was your routine?
So I do like college sororities, but now like I built it up so much that I literally will just go to someone I'm following, like on my news feed, a girl like with 500 likes. I'll go to her likes and I'll start following her likers, and then like I'll put it in my queue in night mode, and then I'll just run night mode right before I go to bed. So I mean, Instagram, you know, it's so tricky now. Like 3 years ago when I joined, it was like so different. Like, you know, like you can literally follow like without getting blocked. You can message without getting blocked, you know. So I don't get a lot of followers like when I wake up, even though I do night mode. But I, you know, so I run out of people to message a lot. So I like unsend and resend a lot. So like I'll scroll down my followers, I'll copy the message, and then I'll unsend it and resend it to the person who's seen it. And, you know, sometimes I caught them at a bad time, or, you know, they read it and just forgot to answer me, or maybe at that time they weren't interested. So I'm always unsending and resending to like people from like months ago, from like January. Like I just scroll down to my followers and I find people from like months ago that I will just do that.
Yeah, I love, what I typically try to do is I just do people who view my story.
Yeah.
Always keeps,
That's a good idea.
that always keeps, like, because then I know they know who I am.
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen some of my stuff. So like I always go through, and if like I sent them a message from March or something, but they're still viewing every single one of my stories. A lot of times, you guys, people don't, like, if they haven't responded to your message for like a week, they think it's too late. And they won't know how to restart the conversation. And so they'll feel awkward. And so if I just like unsend or resend, or sometimes I'll even be like, hey babe, I'm so sorry, like we never connected. I sent you a message, but I don't know if it came through. Like sometimes I'll even say stuff like that. Like, or you can do what she does, unsend and resend. People are like, oh my gosh, well I thought I was gonna message you back, but like I had such a crazy day that day, or like whatever. And like people, you'd be so surprised at how many people just will forget to respond. And when you send them again, they are still genuinely interested. If people are still viewing your story, they are still interested in the business or in the product.
To them once, like they're forever interested. That's how I see it. You know, like if they responded to my message, they're interested. Because me, like let's say I wasn't a distributor and someone messaged me, like if I took the time out of my day to respond to that person, I'm like, they have to offer me, you know. And maybe at that time it wasn't a good time because money, or, you know, or they got caught up with doing something else. Like even me, who I'm on my phone 24/7, like sometimes like I'll open messages and forget to answer. I'm like, oh my God, like I forgot to answer this girl, you know, like it happens. So that happens to people on a daily basis. So just be consistent with following up. Like that's so important. Like today, it's funny you brought up like a girl didn't know how to start up a conversation, because the girl I followed up with today, she was like, oh my gosh, like I saw your message the other day. I forgot to respond and I didn't know. Basically she said like, I didn't know like if I would still get the discounted spot, or so I didn't like respond back to you. And I was like, no, like we can get your order in right now and you can still get that 40% off. Like, are you ready? And she was like, yeah, you know, so just check back in with people. Never forget to follow up. Like I follow up every day, like tonight after I get off the Zoom, like I'll go through my messages on my phone, and everyone who stopped answering me, I'll write their number down in my planner. And then tomorrow I'll sit down and I know like those are the people I talked to yesterday, like as in today. And I'll follow up with every single person. It gets fresh in their mind. You know, maybe they got caught up with doing something. Maybe they were trying to think about the price, you know, sleep on it, you know, because that's what people do. Like people stop answering me all the time, but I follow up the next day. So it's just fresh. And most of the time I enroll them the next day.
When you follow up with them, like what's your go-to follow-up message?
So like I actually followed up with a girl today, and I'll read off the message. So I was like, hey girl, thinking about you. I'm placing orders as we speak, and I have a couple spots left for my 40% discount on the products we're interested in trying. Let's get your order in. That's it. Just like short and simple, and saying I'm thinking about her, and that's it. And then this girl like today just responded like hours later, and she's like, I'm ready to order, you know? So just always be consistent with following up. Like I think that's so important because
yeah, sorry to cut you off, but like, and the thing is like the reason she probably remembered to respond to you is because I'm convinced that our phones are like trained. Like the first thing are trained. Like, do you ever open your phone and you just automatically open Instagram? Like you don't even mean to, it just accidentally happens. Like I do that all the time, right? I'll just be like, oh, well, I actually opened my phone to respond to a text, but I just opened Instagram because like you're, and I think everybody's like that, right? So what happens though is that girl probably forgot to respond to your text, but because you're consistent with posting and adding to your story, she opened Instagram and she saw something.
She got reminded.
Yes, she got reminded by a post. People are like, what's the best way to follow up? Consistency and posting in stories. That's the best way to follow. That's
what I tell people all the time. Like I'm basically an alarm clock to my potentials because it's like, you know, I'm posting. So it's like reminding them consistently, like of the opportunity, whether it's to make money or to buy products, you know? So
let me see the puppy. Let me see the puppy.
Oh my God. She's freaking crazy. Like she's so crazy.
Oh,
so crazy.
I grew up with golden retrievers, so like
I know they're my dream dog, and I was like, I need to have one, but she's like so much work. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to have
kids. I think kids are a little easier. You can actually like bring them in public. You don't have to like worry about like people being.
I mean, like the potty training is crazy, and at night with her crying, I'm like, oh my God, I need sleep. And I'm like I like told my boyfriend to watch her during the Zoom, and now look at me, I'm watching her.
Yeah. just like little this glimpse into what your future will be like with kids. Hey, just make sure you watch them while at work, then they'll come running in. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, yeah, I love that. So you're like an alarm clock to your potentials, like just because you're constantly making sure that they're seeing your stuff. And trust me, like I know that I do that with people, like even if it's has nothing to do with the business. Let's say I forgot to respond to a text, but then I see somebody posted, like I'll be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to respond to that person. Like it happens outside of the business, you guys. And so that is why like there is a method to the madness. We're not telling you to post every day to annoy people. We're telling you to post every day because it works. Okay, so what do you say to people? Because I'm sure you get this a lot, because I feel like I'm like on the outskirts of your generation. I'm like 29. So it was like it was like kind of cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool to.
Wait, I could have sworn you were like, I'm like, wow, she's like a young mom, 2 kids already. I'm like, I literally could have sworn you were like 24 or 25.
No, thanks for saying that though. But no, so I was like, I feel like when I started, like the people that like now it's like mostly Instagram for people who are, I mean, it's like way less Facebook, but I'm kind of on like the middle. And I know that like this whole Instagram kick to like everybody look like a blogger on their page, and like, you know, I'm sure you have a lot of college girls that are like, I don't want to annoy people, or, you know, I don't want my page to look like spam. And, you know, I always tell people, I'm like, there are always a few bad apples. There are some people who make their page look like spam, but it's not everybody. So kind of how do you talk about that, and people who aren't used to posting like every day, because none of us really were before the business. What do you like, what is your kind of go-to thing, or how do you explain that to kind of ease their mind?
So what I tell them is like, you know, I get it because I didn't post every day before I joined, like I literally had like 350 followers. I posted like once a month, like, and if I posted like, it was like, it's so crazy to think, because I was like, if I posted, like I had to have like so many likes, like it was just like, it was literally like that time, you know. And I just tell them, you know, like, who cares what people think about you? Like, I literally just say like that. I'm like, who cares what people think? Like, are your friends like coming to your doorstep every single month to pay your bills? Like, are they going to be paying off your student loans when you're out of college? You know, because I was like, I know my friends aren't doing that. You know, like, I know that if I didn't pay off my own stuff, like I wasn't going to have anyone paying that off except for myself. You know, I always tell them, like, you're in this for you, like not for anyone else. Like, and how are you to assume like that those people wouldn't be interested in what you have to offer? And I always tell them, health and wellness are never going to go out of style. Like, people want to get healthier, lose weight, tighten, tone, and firm, drink a coffee that helps you burn fat every single day. Like, tell me one person you don't know that doesn't drink coffee, you know, like, and I always put it into perspective for people. Like, it's so important to do that and say things like that. Like, you know, like, no one, those people aren't paying your bills. Like, why does it matter? You know, and I always tell them, look at my page. Do I look like like an ad person or like a salesperson? And they're like, no, like, I like your page. I'm like, okay, well, we can make your page look the same way. You know, like, you would never know I'm a distributor unless you click my posts and go to my captions, you know, because my pictures, like, I post a lot of face. So I do face, no face, face, no face. And that's how, like, I do it. And, you know, in between, like, I don't post like join my team today. Like, I don't post like wraps. Like, you know, I do post before and after pictures, but then I delete them 24 hours later. Because I just try to keep it like a clean page, because like I always think, like, if I was an outsider looking at my page, like, would I want to join myself? You know, and I always question myself, you know, you don't need to make your Instagram look crazy. Like, you don't need to spend like hours editing, you know, like, I'll literally edit pictures so fast and like put it up and like take a caption from like a year ago that I had and just put it up. You know, like, I don't overthink it, because, you know, you don't want to like waste too much time doing that either. But I always say, like, look at my page. Do you like how I post? Like, do you like that layout? And they're like, yeah, like, I love that, because when I looked into your page before I joined you, like, I liked what I saw. I'm like, okay, well, we can do the same thing. And I always tell people too, like, if they feel like they're going to annoy people, if they're being really like, they really don't want to post on their Instagram, I'm like, okay, well, let's make a new one then. And I'm like, well, just know that like you're going to be starting from scratch, like no followers, like no posts, and it's going to take more work. But if that's what you want to do, we can go that route. And usually if they're really stubborn, they do want to do that, they do. But if not, sometimes they'll be like, you're right, like that'll take too long. Like, let me just start posting, you know. And what I have them do too is reach out to family and friends, because right away, like, they'll see positive feedback from that. The family's like, okay, like, let me know what it is. Like, I want to know more about it. Like, yeah, I'm here to support you, you know. And some won't be so supportive, but like a lot of my girls get a lot of support from their family and friends, you know, and that right there makes them feel good. And then I don't have them post like right away. I have them make their list and reach out to family and friends first, and then they'll feel more comfortable. And sometimes they get their 4 LCs like right away just from their family and friends, and then they're feeling good about posting. They're like more confident in it. So then they go right into posting, you know. And then there's others that are like, what do I post? Like, tell me what to do, you know. Like, a girl I just signed up 2 days ago, she's like, tell me what to do. What's next? What's next? Like, what do I post now? You know, like, she's so into like posting and like reaching out to people. Like, what do I send to random people on Instagram? You know, so you'll have people who are weird about posting, which is fine, you know, like, and then there's going to be people who want to just jump right into it. But then you have to just put things into perspective, like, all the time. It's just say, if you felt like that, be like, I felt like that too. But like, now, like, I'm so happy that I got out of that phase and I just started doing what I had to do, because this business has done so much for me, you know. And it's so crazy, because the people you didn't think would be supportive of you or excited or wanting to try the products do, you know. And if they don't, it's fine. And, you know, they don't pay your bills, so their opinion doesn't have any like say in what you're doing. You know, you're not doing anything bad. You have a new job, you know. And it's just like, okay, like, you know, it's just like if you started a job at Target or Walmart, you know, like, who cares? You know, you're doing that for yourself and to pay your bills at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, do you use like the feel, felt, found rule?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so this literally changed my life. This will change your life in like a lot of relationships too. So I think I was in Get Over Your Damn Self, but
Oh, I love that book. I forgot. I saw that in the comments here too. That
yeah,
girl, wash your face and get over your damn
and
self.
it's like um basically like whenever somebody's saying like a comment, maybe a negative one, you're like, oh my gosh, girl, I totally understand how you feel. I felt that way before, but what I found is this. Like,
Yeah,
so like
that's what Grit says. Always say you understand you agree, but then
Grant, like y'all are on a first name basis.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, so funny. So yeah, but yeah, I use the feel felt found rule like all the time. I mean, you can use it in like your relationship, you know, like, oh my gosh, you're always on your phone. Oh my gosh, babe, I totally understand how you feel. I feel like I'm always on my phone too. What I found is we make a lot of money doing this. So okay, next question. I want to move into like signing DTs. Do you get people on the phone? Like I know you do a lot of stuff on Instagram, like through Instant Messenger, and then you get people's phone number. Do you do like a lot of potential calls, or do you mostly sign people over the phone?
if I can get a potential on the phone, I will do it, because I know I'll be able to sign them up because they'll listen to my voice, they'll see how excited I am, they know I'm a legit person. And they'll just feel my excitement. I'll be able to answer all their questions. So if I can get them on the phone, I will. But sometimes, so what I do is I post for distributors. So like I life post so much, like all my posts are basically life posts, and I'll throw in product posts here and there because I message for customers and I post a lot on my stories for customers. So that's how I get my customers. And distributors is kind of like me posting like every single day. Like if I post twice a day, it'll probably be like 2 life posts. So that's how I do it. And then I get people to reply to my stories a lot for distributors. And then I'll get their number and I'll start talking about the business, answering their questions. Like if they come up with like a list of questions, usually I'm like, do you have 5 minutes to chat right now? And like if I can get them on the phone, I'm like, yes, because like I know I'll be able to sign them up. Like I just know it. And if I don't sign them up on the spot, at least they are way more confident than they were when we first started texting. But sometimes people are just like, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this and that, then I'd rather not wait because I feel like then we'll never get on the phone. So I just keep texting them and answering their questions. Sometimes I send them voice messages too. And if they don't respond, I say, did you get my voice message? If not, I can just text it to you. But then they're like, oh yeah, I just listened to it. I'm just getting back to you, So I use voice messages a lot if they don't get on the phone with me. But, I text them and then we just talk about the business and like, I give them all the info I can, and perspective with that too. Like people who tell me they don't have money, and I'm like, girl, I didn't either. Like, I get it. Like people don't join this business because they have the money. They join because they need it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, or they tell me they don't have time. I'm like, I get it. I didn't either. I was working 2 jobs and going to school full time and taking 5 classes. Like I was so busy. But I joined this business because I wanted the time, not because I had all the time in the world, and they're like, oh my God, you're so right. And like, or they'll tell me like, oh, like, I'm so scared of what people, I won't be able to sell. And I'm like, I felt the same way too, but there's 7 billion people in the world. Like you'll never run out of people to talk to that want to lose weight, that want to get healthier, especially using social media, you'll be able to reach people from all over. Like, especially when they tell me like, they just think that they're going to be able to target their own town. I'm like, no, like you're using social media. Like you'll be able to target people from all over the world. And we're open in 22 or 23 different countries, so you have so many people you'll be able to talk to. So I always do that. So people are like, you're right. They always think about what I'm saying when I put it into perspective like that, because they're like, you know what, she's right, and I get that a lot.
And you're so confident. I'm like, yeah.
I
would be too. If I was listening to you, I'd be like, yeah, exactly.
I know one girl, she joined me like 2 days ago, and she's like watching like videos that I tagged her in our group page. She's like, oh, okay, like I see where like you get all that from, like talking to her. I'm like, yeah, but you learn, you just learn to just be confident. And you learn how to talk to people, like I made so many mistakes. Like there's this like potential distributor script that we had like years ago when I joined, and like it like was like individual things like to answer the questions, and I sent the entire thing one time. The girl literally did not answer me. Like, but you know, you just learn like to like short and sweet, you know, like less is more. If they ask you a question, you only answer that. You don't go into everything else that they didn't ask you, you know. And that's what I tell my girls all the time, like only answer what they're asking. Like don't overwhelm them with so much information, because these potential distributors want things to be simple. Like this business is simple, you know what I mean? Not, and some girls are like, oh, I feel like I'm not telling them everything. I'm like, no, you are, but you're just not like overwhelming them with so much information that they're not asking you. Like they're going to ask you questions, but just wait, you know? And I think that's so important, because like for me, I joined with Cassie, like I wasn't asking questions, but if I was a potential, like I would want like simple, like I would want straight to the point, you know, and that's how I keep it with people, just simple, because I know that I work my business in a simple way, because it'll be easy to duplicate with my like newbies, you know, like I need something that's simple so they can do too. Like if I'm doing I don't go live like ever, but if I'm going live and getting like 100 customers that way, like how am I going to be able to, like, you know, it's going to be a little harder to teach that to my team, you know, because not everyone goes live, you know, like I have never gone live. So, you know, like if Jade's trying to teach me to go live, I'm like, no, you know, like, so I keep things simple, you know, and I don't switch what I've done. Like I literally, when I unsend messages from like February of last year, it's the same message last year that I have now that I send to people. You know, it's just simple. Like I don't change what I'm doing. And I know that it's just worked for me since day one. I'm just going to keep doing that, you know, and like, that's what I just teach my team and my newbies and my potentials. I tell them, like, I literally do the simple steps that I did day one, 3 years later.
I love that. I love how simple you keep it. Okay, let's talk about like where you are right now. Like where do you feel like you're learning right now in your business?
Oh my God, hard question. What's an example? What do you mean?
Like do you feel like you're learning more patience? Do you feel like you're learning like how to handle tough situations, how to have harder conversations? Like I mean, I feel like at least for me, you know, I'm learning definitely how to be more transparent in my leadership. That's definitely something that I've failed and learned through. And you know, because I'm a big believer in like failure is the biggest teacher, right? Like you fail your way to success, and like you're gonna have like big and small, you know, you're gonna have monumental failures, you're gonna have small failures, but like you're not gonna learn from your successes half as much as you do from your failures. So what do you feel like you're learning right now, or what's like something that you failed at that you learned a lot from?
Yeah, I mean, for me, is being patient. You know, like that's the biggest thing, because I mean, I feel bad for Craig because I'm the least patient person like ever. But like it's like so different, because this business like tests me every day. Like it's crazy because, you know, like I can't like how I like flip out on Craig or my mom or like my sister. Like I can't do that with my team. You know, like they're like you're a different person. Like I'm not, but like they're just like someone that I know that I have to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5-second roll, you know, and I can't like explode, you know, I need to be patient. I need to be loving, and I need to be, you know, I need to just know that I was there, you know, once too, you know, like poor Cassie, like had an earful from me, you know, like every day, like I have to just literally count down and just, you know, breathe and just, you know, be patient with them and love on them. Like that is something for me. I've just learned to work on so much, you know, and like I just like for me, like my literally like 5 leaders on my top line, they're like my best friends, you know, like they like we talk every day, we're on FaceTime, you know, they are like my best friends. Like they know everything about my life, and you know that grows over time too as well. Like obviously like when they join, like it took time for us to just connect and things like that, but like, you know, it's funny because like we talk about the business, but like, you know, we talk about things outside of it too, you know, like relationships, like family, like how they're feeling, you know, like so patience is something I've learned and something I have to just work every single day into doing. You know, leadership is something I've learned too. I mean, right now in this season of my business, I'm just learning to, this is a hard question. I feel like just
It's
loving,
always good though. It's always good to like look back.
yeah,
Love
I
on
feel like
yourself.
loving on my team every day, like shout outs, you know, like they know that I'm proud of them. Like I'm texting them every day, but it's so different to get a shout out on a team page with like thousands of people on there. You know, they feel good. Like we get you, the girls are always shouting out their team, and I'm like, crap, I forgot to do it. Like this girl got her first customer. Like I need to go like do that. That's something I'm learning to do, because like I'll say it over text, like I'll send a voice message, but it's so different to just shout them out on our team page. And like all of our leaders do that so consistently that I have to learn how to do that too, because it's like, I remember when I was new, like when Jade shouted me out, I was like so excited, you know, I was like pumped because I was being acknowledged. Like I think that's so important, is acknowledging your team even for the littlest wins, because that will make a huge difference. Like because you know what, when I was working my job at the salon, I would go over and beyond for my boss, and I was never acknowledged for what I was doing ever. You know, the other day before my phone got like wiped out, I was looking at my messages with them in 2015, and like I had I had so many texts, but I like saved a couple, and it was like, you know, like when I lived with my parents, we had like a really steep driveway, and I live in Connecticut, and snow here is like awful. So you know, I looked back at the messages, and it was like one day I had to be there at 8 a.m. To open up the salon on Saturday, and it was snowing, and my dad was in Brazil, and he usually plowed the snow and stuff, and I was outside plowing. I texted my boss, and I was like, I'm gonna go outside and plow, and I'll get there as soon as I can. You know, like going over and beyond to be there and to just impress him and just show that I was like dedicated to that job. But never once did I get like an acknowledgement, you know, or like a raise or anything like that. But in this business, like I think that it's so important, you know, even us, you know, like you, Kelsey, and like myself, like, you know, even when we get acknowledged still, like it still feels good to like get noticed for what you're doing on a daily basis, you know, because we all work hard. So it just feels good. So that's like one thing I'm working on doing, because like I said, all the leaders on our team are so good with that. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl, like last week, like I'll do promotion shout outs. Like I always do that, but like, you know, a girl who gets 4 LCs, like that's big. Like I sometimes just forget to do it. And like, I'm just learning to just do that for sure. And just being patient. And, you know, like I said, one thing I've learned is to be good friends with your leaders. And some people are like, oh, well, sometimes it gets like off track of business and stuff. But you kind of have to just learn to like talk about both, you know, like my leaders and I, like, we just talk about both. Like, it's kind of like mostly all about the business, just because we love it so much and it's our life, and like all of them do it full time, but you know, we do talk about life and like, you know, their relationships and their family and stuff. So like that's what I've learned is so important. It's just because, you know what, like most of my leaders have been with me since almost day one, you know, and I feel like it's because we have this bond, you know, because even when times get tough, they feel like as if I can't like leave the business if that's a thought, you know, because, you know, I would always still be their friend, but they feel like, you know, like that's just how I met Nay. You know what I mean? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like they feel like this like sort of like bond like that. But it's just so important to just be like friends with your leaders. And like, honestly, they're like my best friends. Like I don't even talk to people before I did join this business, you know, so.
I know, it's so crazy when you think about that. It's like I think about people at my wedding, and like
Yeah.
I don't even talk to anybody from my like, and not because something happened. It's just we're at different points in our lives. So okay, last question. Let me think of one. Okay, somebody asked me this the other day. This is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like you know right now that I should know?
Oh my God, these questions.
I gave you easy ones for most of it.
Kelsey, I don't know. What do you feel right now that you know that I should know?
Like, what's like your biggest like aha moment recently that you're like, dang, I wish I could tell everybody that?
You know what? My biggest aha moment will always just be consistency, you know, because not that I'm not consistent every single day. It's just like, it's so crazy to think that I literally do the same thing every single day. And because I am so consistent and do it every single day, like, even if like one day like I said, I'm consistent every single day, like no matter what is going on in my life, like I'm still working the business, like, you know, and it's just crazy because like one day I'll work so hard, I'll follow up with 100 people, I'll message 100 people, and it won't get results. But most people would just give up and not be consistent the next day. Because I'm consistent the next day, my phone is blowing up because of the work I did the day before, you know? So if I can tell you all like one thing, like one secret, it would be being consistent, because, you know, it's paid off so much. And I feel like it has a lot to do with my success, is because I never just, even in the beginning when I was just in a crappy mindset, like I still did what I had to do every day. And I feel like that's what's led on to where I am now. It's just like a ripple effect of like potentials and people watching me, and just me being consistent with my stories, my posts, my follow-ups, you know, and just being consistent every day. Like that's like a huge aha moment for me, because, you know, like there are some days that like I'm just doing so much, like that I do every single day. And like sometimes even the days that like I am not enrolling, like I'll do more, you know, because I'm like, I need to enroll, like I need to 10x my efforts, you know, I need to do more of what I'm doing, and I won't enroll that day. And then the next day it's like, instead of me just putting my phone down and forgetting my business for that day, I'm consistent the next day, and then like my phone will be blowing up because of the work I did the day before, you know? So that's my biggest thing, is just being consistent.
Yeah, I love that. Like, do you feel like, no, I'm done with the hard questions, but don't you think it's crazy to like think about what you were thinking when you like almost gave up, or like you almost quit, and like what you could just like freaking tell yourself, like, hey, you're gonna make it. Like, you know, like you're gonna make it. I promise. Just keep going. And like, even just thinking about like, if one day you just would have like not done it, and,
Yeah.
and that one day turns into 2 days, and that 2 days turns into 4,
You know
and
what? It's so much easier to keep going. Like I have bad days, you know, like my bad days are, you know, when I'm working so hard and I'm not enrolling, you know, like I'm pissed, you know, I'm like, what is going on? You know, but it's like so much easier to keep going. Like, so I'm consistent the next day, like even though my day before was bad, it's so much easier to keep going than it is to give up and then get back into it. It's so much harder to get back into it after you've stopped or you gave yourself a break for a week than it is. Luna, no. Luna, no. She's biting the freaking garbage. But it's so much easier to just keep going than it is to stop and then get back into it. You know, like I don't know, like honestly, I don't know if I would even be able to, if I stopped, get back into it. You know, like it's hard to do that. Just so being consistent every day and just doing the same things and just keep going is just so much easier than to just stop and get back into it. Because
yeah.
once you just get back into that flow, you know, of things. Like obviously I know now, like I would never just take a break, you know, but you know, I don't know what would happen like with my mindset or how I see things if I took a break and then came back into it, you know? So just keep going, like no matter what, like whatever's going on, keep going, because like your consistency will pay off. Like I can tell you that, because, you know, like I said, I've been consistent since day one. And if I didn't post one day, it's because like I remember Cassie and I went on a cruise like 2 months into the business, like, and we couldn't post. Like if I didn't post, it's because I couldn't, you know, because I do every day. And like I always tell people, life will always happen, like always. When I got into the business 4 months in, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. You know, it was tough because my family's like healthy. We never had any issues like that, like nothing in our family. Like, so it was like so out of the blue, you know, but most people would just give their business a break, you know, but for me, like it was a huge thing because a month before that, I had quit my jobs. So to me, being by her side during that time was like a big thing. So I knew, you know what, because of this business, I'm able to be with her during her appointments, during surgery, you know, being home with her. I remember she asked me to pay like a bill that month. And that was like the first time I was ever able to help with anything, because I was always asking for money, you know, and I worked my business around like doctor's appointments. We'd be in the waiting room. I would be working my business, you know, and to me, like life, like I always tell people, life will always happen. You know, like my parents recently just got divorced. Like Craig and I moved out of our parents' home. Like that was big, like moving, you know, like it takes a lot to move and unpack and do things, you know. I'm unpacking and I'm like messaging, following, I'm talking to people. Like I just fit this business into my life, you know, no matter what is happening, because I always tell people life will always happen. And you know what? Think of it like a regular job. You know, if I ever told my boss like, oh, like I need to go to surgery because my mom's like going into surgery today, he'd be like, okay, find someone to cover. And if you don't have anyone to cover you, then you have to come in. You know, like, so treat this business like a job that you would have to go into 9 to 5, because the boss would never tell you like, okay, take a month off, like, you know, like come back, we'll see you then. Like, no, he would just tell you you're getting fired or you're going to find someone to cover you, you know? So that's how I treat my business every single day. Like it's just do or die, you know, because I mean, this is my full-time job. Like I have nothing else to fall back on, you know, I don't have a degree, you know, but I know that me being consistent every single day will just pay off.
I love that so much. So real quick, somebody asked non-negotiable. So following, messaging, self-development,
posting.
posting.
And so I follow up, I post, I message, I follow every night, and I do my self-development. Like those are the 5 things I do every day, like every single day, no matter what.
Love it. Well, I am so proud of you. I'm so grateful for you to come on here and just pour into us for a little bit. And thank you for also letting me steal all of your Instagram stories.
I don't even care. I do it. Like people are like, "Oh, can I take your stories?" I'm like, "Yeah, I took that story from someone else, so go for it."
I know, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. If I ever have any good ones, feel free to steal mine too.
Oh, I will. Trust me, I will. Because I don't like really have time to make those stories. I don't have time or patience. So I'm like, I gotta take these stories from other people.
People
Like
who are like so creative.
That story that I posted of myself, I was like, oh my God, like I did that at like 2 a.m. when my phone was like kind of dead. So I was like just able to focus on that for like an hour and then not take away from my business. But yeah, I take stories from everyone. So
I know Alyssa Villieu, she's like,
what? Her stories are so good.
Well, she like loves doing it. And I'm like, I get zero joy out of that. Like absolutely zero joy out of that. Like if
like that story that you replied to that day, I was like, oh, if she only knew like the words. And then I had spelling mistakes and I had to cover it up. It was awful. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love it. Well, thank you again so much. And I can't wait to see you continue to promote.
Thank you.
All right. Bye guys. Thanks for hopping on.